happy in his Tyreek Hill jersey.
Yeah, I was gonna say whose number is that?
This is Tyreek Hill. This is my first time ever wearing this jersey.
Yeah, it's the first time you're representing wife beaters. It's awesome.
SB. Yep.
What the? No, that's not real.
It'll be on your screen. Anyways.
No, it won't. Don't do that. That's mad extra for no reason.
That's mad extra for no reason. Says the guy who pulls out a 2021 Chiefs jersey, and we're talking about 1995.
That's cool, but I just need to let people know that we are super excited. This is a very excited day, and now we're going to be very excited to talk about one of Shaq's great years.
One of his greatest years, I think we're going to end up saying at the end of this. So we left off. The Magic were eliminated in the first round by the Indiana Pacers. And I'm pretty sure we were talking about how some of the critics were giving Shaq a whole boatload of shit for partying too much, just the team not being ready, inexperienced. And one of the main criticisms was, ironically, that they did not have a power forward, right?
Yeah.
Because of the Weber situation and going into this year. So Shaq's at home watching the playoffs, right? And he sees a disgruntled player, or in his mind, a disgruntled player.
We get knocked out of the playoffs the first round. I'm watching the playoffs. Chicago Bulls, they have a disgruntled player. Horace Grant, power forward. We need a power forward.
The Washington Bullets agreed to take Skiles and a first-round pick from us in return for a future second out of nowhere. We presented it to the league office, and they said, "You're only making the trade to make cap room." And that's wrong because... And that was one of the first times that a franchise would use cap room as an asset.
In Horace Grant, a guy who we covered a lot during Michael Jordan's legacy breakdown during that first championship run. The third cog in the wheel of players between Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and obviously him. He was the guy who went in, did the dirty work. Good for 12 points, 10 rebounds a game. And like a guy who grew with that Bulls team. And is like, at this point in his career, he's a grizzled veteran, and he just did a season. He just did a season with Scottie Pippen where they came off getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, and
he was
Scottie did the thing I don't like that he did. And
we don't got to talk about this every single time.
It matters for this though, because there's a reason why Horace Grant is disgruntled, and it's because he's unhappy being on the Bulls, and he.
No, that's not how he explains it, though.
Okay.
He says that he looked at the Bulls team, and he saw that there were a lot of people, like older players.
Sure.
And Michael Jordan wasn't there anymore, so he didn't.
And there was no hint of him coming back.
Yeah, and he didn't see the window of opportunity to win championships, and he looked at this young Magic team that clearly had potential, and he felt like he could be their missing piece.
And they felt like he could be their missing piece because Shaq did his job recruiting, and the Magic did their job recruiting, and it was one of there was a trade that was made. Scott Skiles was traded off of the Magic to the Wizards, I think, for I think it was like it was Scott Skiles on a first for a second round draft pick. And somebody in the NBA called the GM of the Magic and was like, "You're only doing this to add cap space." And they were like, "So?
Is that illegal?" Yeah, like, is that illegal? Yeah.
Why don't you fuck off? Why don't you hop off these nuts and check out the business we're about to perform? Fucking, so.
Learn a thing or two.
Yeah. Quit riding my sack and just watch this beautiful shit we're about to pull together. So they get Horace Grant, and that solves this starting five that's really starting to take hold. This humongous starting five because you have Nick Anderson, you have Penny Hardaway, Horace, and D. Scott with Shaq. None of these guys. The shortest guy here is 6'6".
Yeah. I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember this. Was Shaq critical of the player empowerment era?
I feel like Shaq's super critical of like
I know he feels like how he feels about like soft players, but like did he? I don't remember him openly bashing LeBron for doing what he did.
I don't think so either. I think but I will say that he like I know his beef with Donovan Mitchell was that like or guys like that is that they get handed stuff too early.
Yeah.
Which is definitely kind of ironic. But like I don't know. I don't know.
He literally got handed top 50 players.
Yeah, he was
time in his fifth year.
He's gonna be exactly within 5 years of his career. He's gonna be named a top 50 player.
Yeah,
without winning a championship or an MVP.
Yeah,
but
yeah, because the only reason I say that is because obviously he already had heavy he clearly had influence in the draft the year before,
right?
And then now he's having influence in trade. So like
very true.
Like for people to like
and free agency, yeah.
This is why these legacy breakdowns are super dope to have because you get to see like, all right, you're seeing this player's career and a lot of what these players be talking about, like talking shit about all these players get to do whatever the hell they want. Shaq is doing the same thing that LeBron is doing in 2011.
Yeah.
And KD was doing, like if anything.
Controlling small market teams because the small market teams, they have these small market teams by the nutsack.
Yeah. And literally, LeBron didn't actually do this until his like 14th year in the NBA or something like that. I mean, maybe 11th.
Shaq's doing it in his early 20s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's insane to even, like, that no one talks about this.
How old is Shaq this year?
It's probably because he didn't win anything. But, like, if he would have won, like, they would have...
Shaq was 22 this season.
Yeah. And you want to know what...
And he's older than him.
Yeah. And another thing is, obviously, the media coverage is not the same. So, like, this is what allowed a Shaq to be able to do this, and nothing, nothing's coming out because no one's talking about the Magic, anyways. Obviously, like, not to that extent, and there's not as much media as there is now.
Well, the Horace Grant signing put them in a different spot than they were previously. It gave them different expectations going into the season.
Yeah, for sure. Because they had a trajectory of like winning a championship at this point.
Their preseason championship odds were only plus 450, which is not. Let's go to so if we're looking at all the preseason odds, so it's the Suns, Rockets, Knicks, Magic are right here.
So they were tied for second.
Yeah. One of the top 5 teams. Suns? Why are the Suns?
Yeah.
Suns still had Charles, and they had a really solid team of a bunch of like a lot of like names, big names. Dan Marley was big.
The only reason
look at all these guys in double figures, like
like they went to
Kevin Johnson,
like they went to the finals 2 years ago.
Yeah,
but like maybe when we do Charles Barkley's legacy breakdown, we'll know more about
for sure. For sure. Very true. But Magic in the mix, people think that they're in the running to make a run here with no Jordan and the league being more wide open. And I think to answer your son's question, I think that's another reason why why that was the case is because no Jordan, league's wide open. Nobody really knows. And they damn sure weren't picking Houston again. Like that was surprising.
Surprising that Houston won. I feel like this year
he was the. I mean, you got to think about it. Akeem was the only All-Star on that team. Like they were going against better teams for sure, and they were definitely the underdog in a few.
Weren't they a top seed, Houston, last year? Like for first or second, I think.
Oh, I think this year they're the 16th?
This year is that they're sixth seed. Yeah.
But still, Akeem was the only All-Star on both finals teams, and I would say that this team that they're going to see this year had more they definitely had more name talent. Like Clyde's at a different stage in his career, but he's got the experience, and they have experience of the championship before.
Yeah.
But either way, Magic are gonna take full advantage of this regular season and lead the East with 57 wins. Shaq's gonna get the scoring title.
That's insane.
He should have 2 scoring titles. I forgot to mention this last year. He should have 2 scoring titles right now, but David Robinson fucking decided to go for 71 points on the last game of the year and take the scoring title from Shaq the year before.
That's what created the beef, right?
Yeah, just creating further beef amongst between the 2 big men. But this year, Shaq's going to get the scoring title. He's not going to win MVP. He's going to come in second for MVP voting. Robinson is going to win the MVP by a pretty good margin in terms of first place votes.
How many more wins did Yeah, I mean, Robinson was like great all around though. Like almost 2 blocks and 2 steals. Had averaged 27 and 11. Like it's definitely not something, it's not like
Spurs won 62.
5 more games. Yeah.
Spurs won 62.
Makes sense.
Magic with 57. Was this the year David Robinson was in San Antonio? I'm pretty sure it was. Not David Robinson. Dennis Rodman.
Oh.
Yes, it was. This team was fucking crazy on defense. And Sean Elliott shooting threes, one of those early 3-and-D guys. Vinny Del Negro, he'd go on to coach. I only remember him from coaching Blake Griffin during the year Blake Griffin was just dunking on everyone his first year. It's the only thing I know Vinny Del Negro from. Doc Rivers, like they have experience. Big Mo, of course.
Yeah.
What random eclectic team of names would be complete without Moses Malone randomly being on it at age 39? Crazy. But Robinson's going to win MVP, getting this team to 62 wins.
Yeah. I was going to say 57 wins and winning you the whole conference seems like it's very low. Like,
yeah, I agree with that actually.
But that just shows like it's very competitive.
That's true. I feel like I think the bar for the best team has been lowered, but everybody else is meeting that bar.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of even teams in this. But to be honest with you, when we're looking at the Eastern Conference as a whole, Shaq and Penny are easily the best duo in the conference. Like,
yeah,
by a lot.
Would that be Ewing and Starks? Is Starks like the second guy there?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Pacers, you got Reggie and maybe you want to say Rick Smits. Is Mark Jackson's on their team?
Yeah.
Like, Penny's better than all those guys.
Kind of guy. Yeah.
Penny is easily is this. Do you think Penny's the best number 2 man in the league at this point? At 21 a game.
Could you go back to the?
I will in a second. But yeah, Ewing, Starks, Oakley.
Yeah.
I would take Shaq and Penny over that team. The Bulls, it's just really just Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty by himself this year.
I mean,
yeah, the Bulls really got screwed with that trade because it literally like took away the power shift. Like the Bulls were second or third seed in the East.
Yeah, with Horace.
Yeah, with Horace, and then to switch that, like you can see why they didn't do as well. And yeah, I think they're the best probably 1-2 combo. And look, so, yeah, he's 10th. That's probably another reason why Shaq did it. Not only because David Robinson had 5 more wins and stuff, but like I think David Robinson was also better all around, and then him not having that second guy like Shaq did.
I wanted to look at all NBA because I know Penny's going to sneak in and get all NBA first team. I think next year. Oh no, it's this year. He makes All-NBA first team this year over Shaq getting second team center.
That's stupid.
That's wild, is what it is. It's fucking crazy.
But I mean, it makes sense, like, but because honestly, they're not gonna put Shaq as a power forward. But
the jump that Penny takes from year 1 to year 2 is like impressive. Let me look at that. Because right, this is Penny's second year in the league.
I'm not gonna lie, Penny kind of annoyed the shit out of me in that doc.
Why?
Because he was like, I guess we could talk about it more during the actual series, but he was just, I felt like he was just blaming everything on Nick Anderson, like for
their problems. But yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to it. But
yeah.
so Penny goes from 16, 5.5 and 6.5 with 2.3 steals to almost 21, 4.5 and 7 with 2 steals. Gets over 50% shooting, makes over a 3 a game. Like this is like most improved player type shit.
Yeah, but then that's also like at that point that's a superstar.
Yeah, 100%. This is what I was saying. Like he's easily the best he's easily the best number 2 guy in the entire Eastern Conference, maybe the whole NBA.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
And this is going to be the formula for winning for the rest of Shaq's career.
Yeah.
Is pair him with a guy like this.
Yeah.
You will have success. Right? What were you going to say?
Wouldn't you say all big men kind of needed that though?
Yes, but
I mean, besides Hakeem, because I feel like Hakeem's championships, like wins in NBA history, came in a very weird time. If you exclude him, because I think he's more the exception than the rule.
Sure.
Like if you look at all the elite, like I feel like every center or power forward in the top 10, you have that with.
Yeah,
like even Duncan, like you had Tony Parker. Like Tony Parker was averaging like 22 points a game in some of the seasons. Like it's not like he wasn't. Like I feel like you kind of need. I feel like every big man needs a guard.
I think it's just crazy how many times Shaq got this specific player though.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to say, yeah, you need a guard. It's another thing to say, you know what would be perfect to play with Shaq? You know what would be the perfect guy? A guy who's about 6'6", 6'4" to 6'6", is athletic as fuck, can take over at any point in the game, and is unselfish.
Yeah, it was definitely like a certain mold of player.
How did he end up finding that 3 times? Like
I wouldn't say Penny played. I feel like Wade and Kobe played extremely similar. I don't think Penny played as similar to Wade and Kobe though.
Oh, I definitely would disagree with that because I would say for sure. Like this is a Wade stat line. 21, 7, and with 2 steals a game. If this was a block a game, it would be like a Wade, like it's pretty close to a Dwayne Wade stat line from the early years. You know what I mean?
Like I'm talking about like play style.
He was a freak athletically. What do you mean? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like
they were comparing him more sort of like Magic Johnson.
But that's
obviously,
because they were trying to. That all they saw was tall point guard. Like they're not looking at it from a play style standpoint. A lot of people look at Penny as the first LeBron James. I said this in a previous video, but him and Grant Hill were like the prototype for what the LeBron would come in, like the next generation of perimeter player was going to be.
Yeah.
Freak athlete, one of the first guys to really stretch the floor and be a freak athlete. Two-way dominance, right? Like Penny is.
Was he a lockdown defender?
Yeah, the guy.
I see where you're coming from. I definitely see where you're coming from.
It's crazy to me that Shaq was paired with 3 different All NBA first team guards.
Yeah,
like it's just impressive. Like, and some of it's through circumstance, some of it's through him making it happen.
Yeah, and that's it's just so interesting because like they all could have been like obviously Wade and Kobe were elite of the elite, but like technically Penny could have been that too if he didn't get his injuries and stuff.
100%. I mean, the guy's a first team All NBA player this year and the following year. He's going to be an All-Star until he gets injured. Like the guy was well on his way.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how we get further and further away from the 90s and how Shaq's career had gone after this point. Like, he really gets forgotten about after Wade and Kobe. Yeah. And, like, the foam posits.
Yeah.
Signature. I know nothing. Look, I know a lot about basketball. I don't know shit about basketball shoes. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah.
But I know the foam posits are a big fucking deal.
You gotta make me go get my freaking my foam posits that I got in the back.
They're a big fucking deal, and they were made for this motherfucker. They weren't made for anybody else. They were made for him. Yeah. Chris Rock agreed to do commercials where he was Little Penny. Like,
yeah.
He was a superstar.
Yeah, he was definitely
undoubtedly a superstar.
Yeah.
And it's just impressive to me how immediately, second year, they're the best team basically in the league. Like, it's them, the Spurs. We saw Phoenix. Like, it's just on paper, I'd take Orlando over most of those, especially when you consider what they're like. They have the best offensive rating in the league, right? 115, which is really high, especially for the era.
Yeah.
They're shooting over 50% as a team.
They're averaging 111 points a game.
This is what I'm saying. They're
that's crazy.
28 assists a game. That's a shit ton.
Yeah.
Like
111 points in this era is crazy.
It's really good.
Like, what's second? I need to know. Like, who was second?
This leads into my next question. If this Magic team jumped into a time machine, how far ahead could they go and be relevant? Like, make the conference finals?
How far ahead?
Yeah. For me, I'll give you an example. For me, I think this team could be relevant from a playoff standpoint probably until before Curry. Everything.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, like 2013, 2014. Yeah. Yep.
Once the three-pointer starts going like this, that kind of hurts them. But even then, these guys could still shoot.
Yeah, like how many threes are they taking a game? They're taking 17.
They're taking 17. They're not making that many, but
yeah, but it's not that far off.
You're right.
Yeah, like in the late 2010s. In the late 2000s, early 2010s, like that's around the range. So it's not like they'll be far. Yeah, it won't be too crazy.
So there's three teams at the top for points per game here, and they're all hovering around that 110 point.
Yeah. The craziest part with Shaq is like this could easily be one of those apex greatness teams, that. But he just has so many other teams that are like historic. That's insane with Shaq. Like
with the right mindset, this team could easily have been. You know what I mean? When you combine the two, because Shaq, who we did mention, obviously, second in MVP voting, but Shaq's really going to take a jump himself. Mind you, the kid's fucking 22 years old.
Yeah.
Second in MVP voting. Second in MVP voting, 29 and 11. Like, and now this is the second straight year of that.
Yeah, that was his second highest average, right?
It was tied with last year. He basically put up almost the same exact stats from last year, a little bit less rebounding, but
yeah. But I mean, how he's not that far off of his MVP year.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Insane. Like, it was done differently, obviously, but still, like, it's crazy.
And that's the other thing that's he's also coming into what he wants to do as a basketball player. Like, he doesn't have the physical weight yet to bully people around, but he is still physically bigger than most guys he goes against on a night in, night out basis.
100%. There's not many 7'1", 300-pound monsters out there. Like
facts. There's more in this era than there is at any other point in history, but there aren't many still.
There's still not three. Like, what's David Robinson at this point?
7'1",
David Robinson was jacked.
7'1", 300, I think.
You think he was 300? I don't know if he hit the 300.
I think if you look on his B-ball reference, it's 2 and change. 235, maybe not 300. Then he never hit 300.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I was saying, because I know he was jacked. But
that means he was 250 max. Yeah, the biggest point of his career.
And that's what I'm saying. Shaq, do you know what 50, 60 pounds more? Like, and it's not like Shaq is just straight up fat either. It's like muscle too. Like that. Like David Robinson is a huge person.
Yeah.
And Shaq probably made him like look like a little, like
but look,
an actual human to a bear. Like, you know what I mean?
Look at all the other guys in this MVP conversation. So we got David Robinson, 29. Karl Malone, 31. Ewing, 32. Olajuwon, 32. Barkley, 31. This is an older league we're seeing. And then you have this hip hop kid, 22 years old, taking the league by storm. There's really no other way to look at it.
You want to know what really pisses me off? MJ played 17 games and he had 12 points in MVP. This is what I'm saying, like with this cock eating, man.
He talked about it in his legacy breakdown, available in our archives.
But it frustrates me all the time because it's just like, what is happening here? Like, why was this allowed? Like, this is like porn, like in writing.
It's like brings me sadness in general.
Yeah, like, come on, man. Like, get this dude's dick out of your mouth. Like, come on. But where was he in like defensive player of the year? Like, was he even like because he averaged 2.5 blocks and a steal.
I feel like I haven't seen much of him when it comes to DPOY.
Yeah, I know, but like that was what I feel like no one looked at him as like a defensive guy, but he averaged like 3 blocks a game a few times in his career.
And that's the other thing. He's not even in this conversation for defensive player of the year. But him and Horace Grant were stout on the defensive end in terms of like a tandem, a defensive duo. But they're 19th in points allowed.
Okay.
I mean, rebounding their top 5 between them, because Horace is almost getting 10 rebounds a game, and you got Shaq with over 11.
Yeah.
6th in blocks, 12th in steals. Like they're one of according by the numbers, they are average defensively, and their defensive rating has been 13.
Which also makes sense why Shaq's rebounds went down a little because Horace Grant came in, so he took away some of them and stuff.
It's definitely true.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Anything else before we move on to the playoffs?
No, I mean, I think this is. I'm just like looking back at this year. I'm just shocked at how great this year was. Like I know it was a good year, but like in terms of like, well, you might rank this like 4th, maybe a top 4 or 5 season in his whole career.
For Shaq?
Yeah.
I mean, outside of years he won the championship. But like, probably,
I would rank this one over that Heat year, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't think he wasn't the same dominant Shaq.
That's
like
fair.
Like we'll talk about it during that season, but like he had times where he was barely averaging 20. Like, you know what I mean? Like
this team is so good. Like,
and that's the other part that puts it ahead. Like, sure, like Wade over Penny for sure, but like Shaq way over that older Shaq. Like, so that's what made me.
And the team is probably better.
Exactly.
Because we got Horace, we got Nick Anderson, who up until the finals, very relevant, solid NBA player. Brian Shaw, Dennis Scott, another guy they got in free agency.
Yeah.
Brian Shaw, I mean. And
no, I know what you were saying.
What do you call it? Tree Rollins, player coach.
Did you say Brian Scott?
Did I? Maybe I combined the two names. Brian Shaw.
I knew who you were talking about for whatever reason, but then I was like, did he say Brian Scott? Is that why he was like fixing his? Yeah,
but they have multiple guys making 2 threes a game. Penny obviously making 1. I think this team is just super ahead of its time, and like just a very well put together organization, especially for a team that's only been around for 6 years.
Yeah,
like,
and you got like a decent amount of players like shooting above like league average in 3. Like what is? Can you look up league average in 3s? I feel like it's around 33%.
Yeah, I would say you're probably pretty close. They're 9th in the league at 37.
37, yeah. Okay.
So you got to imagine average is probably.
You want to go like right in the 15. Yeah. You could just click on the 3-point percentage.
35. It's right there.
Oh yeah, that makes it much easier. So yeah, so they're shooting above league average in 3s too. Like so they weren't built like the Rockets, because like the Rockets were really inside out.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really run their offense like that. Like I feel like it was way more like ball movement fluency and having Shaq like do more drive dunks than like post dunks.
Well,
like
it's a lot of dribble. It's a lot of dribble penetration and kicking. That's 100% sure. Between Penny driving and kicking out to 3D and Nick Anderson, and Shaq getting it down low, getting doubled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of open jump shots on this team, I would say for sure, that allow them to, work around. And shooting 50% as a team is fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, that is hard. That is not easy.
Was that the best in the league, or was that top 5?
They were number 1.
Probably top 5.
It's either them or the Jazz. It's Jazz.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were second. Damn, Jazz, 51. I just can't get over it. As a whole team, there are people who have never shot 51% in their whole career. Great players. And you as an entire squad, from the bums on your bench to your best players, 50%. That's fucking, I don't know. I'm always blown away by that.
Yeah.
Whenever a team can shoot over that.
That's the pick and roll assholes. That's what we call them.
All right, let's go to the playoffs. So this is a really interesting series. So the Magic are going to close out the Boston Garden.
Yeah, that was what I found the most interesting about that is, they mentioned in that doc, and I really liked it. It was pretty much like the changing of the guard kind of thing, where this is a brand new team versus like a historically like great team, and they pretty much just beat them on in the Boston Garden to end that reign, and kind of like the Magic were really looked at as a like a dynastic kind of trajectory. Like,
you know
that's
what it
how they
reminds
were
me
looking
of?
at them.
Do you know what it reminds me of? In all seriousness, the 76ers with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. The first time they made the playoffs, when they were going against Miami the first round.
Similar, very similar.
Very similar, like, oh, look out we're going to see Philly here the next couple of years. What future would you rather have more, the Boston Celtics or the Philadelphia 76ers? They have the best the best next 5 years of any other team. Like, there's a lot of that. Like, people thought this team was going to be a team that was going to be around for a long time. Yeah. Because of how young Shaq and Penny are. 23.
Honestly, one thing that I've noticed about that, like, definitely people like blow things out of proportion a lot in this generation, like the generation we're currently in. Yeah. But like, I feel like people were like very dramatic in the 90s. Like, in terms of like, they always wanted to name something the next greatest thing. I feel like.
I think we still want to do that. I think we still absolutely want to do that to this day.
You think? Because I don't like
Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I guess.
Zion Williamson.
I'm talking about like the masses weren't saying Zion's the next LeBron. I feel like it was more so.
Really?
Like, I don't think so. Like, at least not for me.
Andrew Wiggins. Like.
Yeah, I guess.
Guys throughout history have always been
because Philly, I don't feel like anybody actually thought Philly was going to be like a dynasty.
I was just going to say that everybody, the people just in general always want to be the first one to like be on an idea or like the first one on a train. Like everybody wants to be like, oh, well, I knew they were going to be great this long ago. And that's why people are so quick to jump and say, this person's going to be great, because nobody wants to be like 5 years down the line, be like, yeah, I missed it.
The investor's mentality.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to get on it at an early stage. That's a good point.
Yeah. No, I agree with that for sure. Because I'm thinking about, like, I was thinking about Philly, and I was just thinking, like, were people really saying that they were going to be a dynasty?
With Ben Simmons and Embiid for a minute? Yeah, they were.
That's crazy. Like,
for a minute. For a split, that 2018 playoffs, just then. Or was it 2018 or was it 2019? Might have been 2019.
But my whole thing is, like, I need to at least, for me, I always need to see something first. Like, to me, this Shaq team, I could see why you would think that, because they go to the NBA Finals. They look pretty dominant, on their way there, and then they just get, they lose to like the champs.
But this is, but I think in the similar way to Philly here, because we're talking about them getting to the NBA Finals. They're not there yet. I think the way people were putting Philly as the favorite at that point in that first round, where they were putting Philly as the favorite to come out of the East at that point. Even though they hadn't really proved themselves and they were a super young team.
Do you mean 2019?
Maybe, that's why I had my...
Yeah, because I was like, 2018, I feel like people still thought Cavs were going to...
Yeah, that's why. LeBron was still there.
Gone,
but it was definitely 2019 with the four teams. The Bucks, the Raptors, Celtics.
I agree, because I think I'm pretty sure I thought Philly was going to make it to the finals.
Yeah, everybody had that feeling with them because they looked so dominant, and this team must have looked similar. Like they must have. Like, and look at all these guys in double figures. All of your starters are in double figures. Oh wait, Dennis Scott's coming off the bench, but all of your main scorers are in double figures. All of your primary dudes.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Shaq, 22, 13. Block and a half, kind of I would say a more down series, but I guess he wasn't needed all that much when everybody else is going and doing their thing. Penny, 15 and 8.
Differentiate. They were beating them by like 12 points, which in the 90s, that's like a blowout.
This Celtics team is trash, though. Dominique Wilkins.
No, yeah.
19 and 10 from Dominique Wilkins at age 35, post Achilles injury. D Brown, the guy who did the first ever dab dunk.
Yeah. No, I think
that's it. I don't know anybody else on this team. Oh, I know Xavier McDaniel, but
like how many threes did they average? What 21 threes? They got 21 threes in 4 games, so that's about 6 threes a game, maybe something like that. Less. And
that Magic hit 22.
5 threes a game. So so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy. Like, you look at a box score, and you see them winning by, like, the average margin was 12 points, and that doesn't seem like a crazy amount now, but that's literally 6 possessions during that time.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, it would be 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, if you're taking 5 threes a game, you're not going to be taking, 4 to try to win it at, get back at the end.
And that's a big thing that 80s and 90s basketball fans say about today's game. Like, one of the bigger differences is like a 20-point lead is easier to come back from in today's game, way easier than it would be.
And you want to know why? It's because of this.
It's because of this.
It's called fucking math.
It's called the 3
If you guys knew if you guys had a calculator with you while you were playing the fucking game, you would have figured this out a long time ago, you dummies. Sorry. Y'all didn't have electronic calculators back there, so you had to use it on your little type printer thing. Motherfuckers.
All right. We are heading to the next series, the semifinals, where the Magic are going to face a Michael Jordan returning Chicago Bulls. We talked about this, obviously, in Jordan's legacy breakdown, but we were looking at it strictly. We were strictly looking at it from the perspective of Michael Jordan. Now we're looking at it from the perspective of the Magic. So Magic are coming in with all the momentum in the world.
Facts.
And entering, like, they looked solid coming in. I mean, Bulls also looked good in the first round heading into this series. But, you know, as we've been talking about this whole episode, the future is here with this team.
Yeah.
And
the crazy part is, like, I love, like, hearing it from, like, not someone just trying to cock eat the Bulls or MJ. Like, when I was, like, Shaq talking about, like, MJ's back and stuff like that, like, they legit had a fear. Like,
yeah,
everybody in the like, had a fear that MJ was back. Like, that's why now you still see, like, the Stephen A's and Skip Bayless is all cocky and be like, no one fears LeBron James. Like, this is, like, those stories that make you understand why. You know what I mean?
Definitely
like,
true.
When you have a Shaquille O'Neal, who we know who he is now, and obviously he's a top 10 player of all time.
One of the most feared players of all time in his own right.
Yeah, exactly. Even at this time, he had just freaking broke 2 rims and all this other stuff. Like, freaking, what's this dude's name that just came? Horace Grant literally had to, like, install it in their mind that this is not the MJ that they're used to. Like, in order to make them feel like they can win this series.
Very true. That was that was also a big thing for this Magic team going into the series, is that, you know, they got Horace Grant. He was disgruntled with the Bulls. And Horace even said in the documentary, like, this mattered to him immensely to get this job done. And I went back and really looked at it. And I know that we did talk about Horace Grant and he gets lifted off the court at the end of the series, but I went back and really did, like, some deep diving into this series just to see what they meant. And outside of the last game, not Nick Anderson, but outside of the last game, Horace Grant, he was averaging like 20 and 12 in this series. Yeah. He was destroying and putting up like superstar numbers for the time.
Well, they had that one game where they were just like, we're going to leave Horace open. So he was just making.
Let me tell you something. It was multiple games. It was multiple games by the numbers. He shot 70% from the field.
I just know that they specifically pointed out, I can't remember if it was game 4, maybe, game 5. I can't remember what game it was, but he was like, apparently, like, he just went off.
But look. So this is the series. So we'll go from here to here. So games 1 to 5. He's averaging 20, 12 on 70% shooting and a block a game. They left him open most of the series. And he fucking made them pay.
And they just didn't respect him. I feel like they gave him same respect that they gave him when he was playing with them.
Completely accurate. Yeah. And it's important to note here because they doubled Shaq and Penny when they got the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see if you could tell that Horace had a huge game, but when we look back,
you could tell that they adjusted in that last game, but it just didn't matter. It was too late at that point because he went 2 for 8.
Shaq's 24 and 13, just stuffing the stat sheet, but 48% shooting for Shaq.
That's crazy.
It's very low,
and I'm shocked that he shot that low, and they didn't really have a force to stop him.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
So they didn't have a force. I mean, it was Bill Cartwright. Probably.
Luke Longley
and Bill Wellington.
No, it was Luke Longley and Bill Wellington. Cartwright was the first.
Sorry, my bad.
But you're good.
The Billy Boys.
You're good. Okay. But no, so they were very focused on, number one, trying to double Shaq to contain him, and then making sure Penny doesn't absolutely explode.
Yeah. And
Nick Anderson, 12 for 29 from 3, shot 41%. Right.
Shaq says the others.
Dennis Scott, 15 threes in the series. Massive.
Yeah, like they definitely got the help from the others, for sure.
And Jordan,
And it's not like they didn't get like sure, Jordan wasn't like as efficient, but he still gave you the 31. His 31. Scottie gave you the 19 and 10. Like it's not like they faced a bad Bulls team.
I thought they maybe got out rebounded really bad, but it was 40 to 41.5 between the Magic.
Not even like that's crazy.
Not crazy.
That's actually like bad on the Magic part. Like they're completely
all things considered, for sure.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Like,
look at the points. Look at the points. We just looked at the Magic and the Celtics margin of victory. Look here. This is less than 2 points.
This is why people love the 90s so much, though, because you get all of those close games. It's just like those football games that we just saw yesterday, you know? Like if you're watching a bunch of we watched 4 freaking games that ended on last minute possessions. You know what I mean? Like seeing that all the time, like for the whole 90s, that's what makes people have that 90s nostalgia.
Yeah. Even
though, like, if you really watch the games, they were ass cheeks.
They were so much more boring than people give them credit for. It's a slow pace. Like, it's a slow pace.
It's just the ending, though. At least you get the ending and you get to see a MJ game winner or, you know, something crazy happen at the end. More often than you do now.
But I got to believe once they get through this Bulls team, now it's we have our champion. We have our champion. It's Shaq. Michael who? We're just talking about Shaq right now. Who cares? Shaq's the greatest player of our generation. And you know, the Magic are the team of the future.
You know,
we're going to lead into the new millennium with Shaq on the Magic.
Yeah. Not to bring it up again, but this is again just like the Chiefs and Bills game. The second round, they were saying this was the finals. Right?
They were definitely it was definitely a big game. I don't know if they were saying this is the final. I think there was
I was just trying to be stupid because
fuck you.
But this is definitely a matchup that they're like we really want. Like this is like it was probably looked at as like the series of the year, probably
for sure. At that point, I would
like the up and coming team that everyone's looking at. They could be this dynasty.
The new hotness.
Like pretty much like they could be this new dynasty, and then you have like the missing piece of the old dynasty that ran pretty much this whole decade. So or the majority of the decade.
Yeah.
And then they're clashing now. So
you know what it's more like, and you know what it's more like. It's not as much like football as much as it is like fighting, like mixed martial arts and boxing, like. In mixed martial arts and boxing, you can the only way people really respect you is if you beat the true champion. Is you beat the guy that the people see as the champion. And the people saw Michael Jordan with the Bulls as the champion. Not the Scottie version, but the Michael Jordan Bulls. They're the champion. They're the team to beat.
Yeah. But then they make excuses for when they lose, but whatever.
And so now they get to the conference finals to go against the Pacers and Reggie Miller in his apex, I would say. Like,
yes,
Reggie's not getting much better than he is at this point of his career. What's he average? What do you
in his like entire career? You're saying?
I think this is the best point of his career. Yeah, between this mid '90s point, these 2 years. Where he goes up against the Knicks, and you know.
You think this is the best Reggie?
I think this is Reggie at his best. Yeah, I would say Reggie
over 98 and over 2000.
I would say 2000. He's out of his prime, as opposed to now. Like, 29 years old, just 25 threes in 7 games. I don't know what that is. Do the math. What is that per game? 50, 40, almost 90 for Reggie.
Oh, yeah, for the time. I was thinking that was how many he was taking. I mean, he was taking, but that's how many he's making.
That's how many he's making.
Yeah, because he's taking about... Is that right? He's taking about 8 a game, almost 8 a game. I think it's 7.9 or something like that.
So that's like modern day.
That's crazy. Guys. Is that true?
Yes.
In the 90s, he was taking 7.9 threes in the series. Could you go to like averages? Is that the only thing?
They don't have that. I'd have to do.
He really took 7.9 threes a game.
It's like I'm so impressed.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah,
like that's crazy.
That's why sometimes the small. That's why sometimes the small. I'm going to the playoffs.
98 is up there too. I feel like you could argue, like, because of his experience too. Like maybe in terms of athleticism.
Yeah, here you go. This is him for the whole playoffs. He's making 3 and taking about 7.5.
Yeah,
solid.
Wow, the whole thing. Yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely solid.
That's definitely like a 100% like a 2010 stat line for sure.
No, I would say mid 2010s. Like, I think.
Yeah, you're right. The 7-3. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 7 threes is a lot of fucking.
The 5 or the 4 and 4 the 4 to 5 range is probably more so the 2010s.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I agree with that. But
so for all those people that say, yeah, Reggie Miller played in 2021, but get the fuck out of here. We just saw it. Like, he's gonna be averaging 25. Relax.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the 3 ball going like this saves Reggie Miller's legacy when bringing him forward, because otherwise it's shakier. But now that the 3 has become so overbearing in our game today, Reggie would be a savage. But this series was close. Look at this.
Freaking! Yeah. I mean, it went 7. So
there are a couple of blowouts, but we do have a couple of serious close games here, including Game 4 and Game 5 came down to the wire. Most of these games are pretty close, except for a few exceptions.
Well, maybe it possibly couldn't have went as far if they would have not jumped on the pump fake, right?
So let's watch that. So that was what, Game 3?
Game 4.
Game 4.
Yeah. You don't joke when you say that you have bad memory.
Short-term memory is completely shot. I can tell you something that happened in the 90s, but I can't tell you what we talked about in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh man. But Penny and the Pacers really would go back and forth hitting big shots up and down the stretch here.
Yeah.
And the funniest part of this is Tree Rollins being the player coach, and he's out on the court guarding Rick Smits for a height, because they're similar in height.
Yeah.
And Rick Smits, the scouting report on him is pump fake. Always watch out for the pump fake, because he always pumps before he shoots. Don't fall for it. Don't leave your feet, rather. Yep. Don't be a fucking idiot.
And he was like one of those guys that was yelling it throughout the entire game. You want to know what this reminded me of, Russ?
What?
When we would play 2K, and I would be yelling at people like, don't jump, don't, or stay on the 3-point line, or don't, like on the 3-on-3s. And then my dumb ass would always let my man get open because I'm trying to help. And then
for sure.
That's what that reminded me of. That's hilarious.
But no. So Chump falls for the pump.
Yeah.
Fucking Tree Rollins falls for the pump. But this series is gonna go 7. Right? This series is gonna go 7. And what do you call it?
So I was gonna say, I feel like this was like the beginning of, it's like a foreshadowment of what's to come in terms of the lack of experience with these players.
Okay.
Because with something as simple as that, to me that's basketball IQ.
Yeah.
And it's also just like the experience of being ready for that moment. Like, you can clearly see that even the player coach wasn't ready for an intense moment like that, and where, all right, you have been yelling, don't go for the pump fake. We're telling you in the huddle, don't go, not the huddle, but the sideline, don't go for the pump fake.
Yeah.
And in the heat of the moment, you still mess up. And I think that's the lack of experience and how young this team is, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like moving forward, you'll see like a lot of things like this happen in the next series.
Yeah. I think that's a very true point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Fucking
And that's probably what, like, me as a basketball fan, like, and just how I've always been. That's why I'm always such like, I feel like I'm such like an old school asshole when it comes to shit like that. Like you know, like with Luka, even with Luka, remember like when it comes to these kind of players, like young players in the playoffs,
yeah,
I always say you got to show me first, because things like that happen, and it kind of, and to me, like, you can't teach that. Like, you have to go through it and you have to experience it in order to like show how good you are or whatever. And then you also have to be great in those moments. If you're not great in those moments, then to me, you're not great.
That jump shot by Penny is fucking stupid, by the way. The shot he makes, he just stamps on the 3-point line. He stomps on that shit as hard as he could to hit the three for 1.3 seconds, and the chump falling for the pump. Yeah. Fucking this man. Maybe you're right. Maybe this Magic team is better than that Heat team, but I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. I want to watch the.
Once we go through the Heat, like we'll do our research.
We got to look through it. But
just so you guys know, we don't just do the whole legacy and then do his legacy breakdown. We do it one by one, year by year, and go through our thoughts. So that's why we don't know what future Russell and Dario are gonna think in the next like 7 weeks from now. Because that's like 7 weeks from now.
We could think the whole 90s sucks in 7 weeks. You don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I already think that. No, I'm joking.
But no, this series is going to go 7 games, and the Magic are going to take it in 7, blow them out. Are they in? They're in Orlando. They were the 1 seed, so they blow them out at home.
Did they like wild out through the 3-pointers?
Great question. That's what
no, they didn't.
Pacers were 4 of 19 from 3.
Oh, 4. Okay. They live by
Magic
the 3, die by the 3.
Magic are 13 of 27. Dennis, all the starters in double figures. Dennis Scott hit 5 threes. Penny hit 2. Nick Anderson hit 2. Shaq, 25 and 11, showed up.
I thought you were going to say Shaq hit 2. I was about to say, what?
Everything's hitting. Shaq throwing threes behind his head.
Yeah.
But just a really efficient game.
Shaq shot
57% from the field as a team.
Yeah, Shaq shot 27% from the free throw line.
I mean, what else is new? We're gonna get into that as we dig through his legacy a little further.
And this is crazy. Like, they're not doing Hack-a-Shaq yet. Still,
they're not doing Hack-a-Shaq nearly as blatantly right now. Like,
and you want to know why?
In his career, but he is 3 of 11. Like, they're definitely hacking him. He took more free throws than anybody else in the game.
Yeah, but another thing is like you, and we saw it like earlier when we were going through like the entire season, seeing the MVPs. 5 out of the top 5 in MVPs were power forwards or centers.
Right.
Like, the reason when they ain't hacking you is because they don't think you that much like you're
they
not.
They think you pussy.
Yeah, like, you a bitch, nigga. That's what happened. My Geechee Gotti voice. You's a bitch. All right, let's go. Next.
But
the Magic advance.
The young Magic, the young children of Orlando make the NBA Finals, which is like. So I'm sure. I wonder if they were I'll have it on your screen, but I wonder if they were the favorites going into this series versus a Rockets team that was the 6th.
Oh, they were 100%.
They had to have been, right?
Yeah. So they were such favorites that Shaq and his friends thought, we're gonna just walk through this Houston team. So let's go make a music video during our week off before we have to come face these guys. So him and his boys go put on a beat and spit the heat.
The only reason, because you play Utah, let's say, and you're in the city for 2 or 3 days, so you know what everything is going on in that city about the opponent, about you, and we're like, oh, Penny and D. Scott were at the mall. We're like, at the mall? Like, you know, like
no,
you would hear
that was
things.
No, that was Penny and Nick at the mall, because they used to love to go to the mall back then.
Don't put me in there.
I ain't gonna lie, I was on the sea dudes running around. That's what I was doing.
We would hear stories about y'all, and we were like, they can't beat us.
Listen to me.
They don't deserve to beat us if they're doing that.
Listen to me. Game 7, we beat the Indiana Pacers, the Davis twins, Rick Schmidt, Reggie, and all that. We're excited. They got 2 more games to play. That's when Shaq was doing the album. So Shaq's in the studio doing the album. I'm on the sea dudes.
We heard about
Penny
this.
and Nick at the mall.
Don't say that, dog. That makes me mad at y'all.
But you know what? If you think about the final, it was the only time ever that I thought the series was over after the first game.
Yeah.
I literally thought, because to your point, because of the inexperience, like, I was like, man, it's over. Like any other team, like if you lost the game like that, a veteran, experienced team would recover from that.
The Prince Rakeem video? Is that the one? Prince Rakeem.
Oh, maybe, I don't know. He did put out an album that went platinum.
No, that's fine. We don't have to. You could just do that while I'm saying it.
That's true.
We don't gotta say our thoughts on that bum ass raps.
Yeah, I can't find it anyways. But no, so they would once they made it to the finals, and as we just saw, they're battle tested, right? They're battle tested. They went through the Bulls. They went through the Pacers in 7 games. Like, nobody can say that they had a cakewalk to the finals. Like, that's for certain.
They definitely like both teams had dogfights.
100%.
Yeah,
Houston as well. But that's probably why the
Houston
Magic
my bad. Houston wasn't looked. I don't think, like, I want to say Magic were definitely favored, but Houston wasn't looked at as a walkover. You know what I mean?
I think Houston was looked at as a severe underdog, though, being the 6th seed in the West. Like, they're going to be by far the lowest seed to ever win an NBA Finals here. Like, ever. No 6 seed. Very few 6 seeds even make the finals, let alone win.
Are you sure? I feel like an 8th seed might have.
Never ever. It. No, never ever. I don't even think an 8 seed's made it.
No, the 8th seed's definitely made it. The 8th seed made it to
maybe the Knicks. The Knicks versus the Spurs.
Bullets. It was the Bullets versus Kareem in his first chip. Because I remember doing.
I know the Knicks in 1999. Not 99. The Spurs championship before the Lakers 3-peat.
Yep, I think it was 99.
No, so they're just going to show you the winning.
Yeah, has a 7th or 8th seed. No,
8th seed does advance to the finals or as far as the conference finals.
It's fine. We could. I mean, if you want, you could look at it later.
Yeah, I'll have it on your screen. But
I'm pretty sure the Bullets and the Knicks. I know the Knicks for sure in '99, that '99 season.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
sure
they were
the
definitely
Bullets
the 18th, and they made it, but they did not win. Rockets are the lowest seed to win, so I got to imagine they're pretty sizable underdogs against this new hotness Magic team with all the pizzazz of Penny and Shaq and that sort of deal. And I think this first game, they come out in the first half. The Magic do,
and just
put a fucking ass beating on them.
Yeah,
like
what? It's 12 points, but
we just talked about 12 points being 6 possessions.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this Houston team obviously is a little different because they shoot more threes, so it's really like 4 to 6 possessions, but it's still enough to where it matters, and especially in the slow-paced environment. It's not like they were like running and gunning. But I found it very interesting what Hakeem's plan was to stop Shaq. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean,
where he said that he wanted to run Shaq to death because he said that he would assume Shaq wouldn't have the endurance. And then by the half, he was like heavy breathing, and he was like, "This dude isn't even tired." I thought that was hilarious because it is a young Shaq. Remember, he's 22.
Yeah, I don't know why he thought that. I don't know why.
But it's because he probably looked at Shaq like a fat boy. He's like, "There's no way this fat boy is going to be able to."
But you know what's ironic about that? If he sees him in the Lakers, he would be right.
Yeah, no.
If he sees him on the Lakers, I think he's got a better chance to make this strategy work than this Magic Shaq, who's young and just has crackhead energy. Like, it's interesting. Like, he caught Shaq at the worst possible time for that specific strategy. But they're going to come out in the first half and play really, really well. And then in the second half, the Magic come out completely lethargic. And Kenny Smith, who has his day in the sun on Shaq, which is just hilarious.
7 of 11. That's crazy.
It's so funny. I've heard Shaq say in the past, the worst part about this championship isn't the fact that he lost it, but that Kenny walks around thinking he's a legend. Thinking he's a legend and all that, hitting those threes. There's 7 threes made. This was the most threes made in an NBA Finals game for a long time. He had this record for a while.
Yeah, because I think Ray Allen was the one that broke it, right?
Something like that. I don't know who holds it now, but I know that he had the most threes in a game. Because obviously Jordan had the threes and a half.
Might hold that now, but Ray Allen, I remember Ray Allen beat that in the Lakers 2010 matchup.
Yeah.
I want to say game 2.
But Kenny will hit a big 3, or Kenny's going to hit a big 3.
Yep. Before freaking Nick Anderson goes in.
I wanted to watch this with the people.
Oh, okay.
So we're at the end of game 1. Orlando has a 3-point lead with a minute to go. So they get the ball, and they're just chilling clocking. Like, the name of the game is this game is over.
Yeah, especially at this point. At this point in the NBA, it's kind of like
look how many shots they missed to get the rebound again. Like, this game is definitely over.
If you score 5 or 4 with 10 seconds left, the game it's done.
Yeah,
like you're not expected to win. Like, now it's still like it could go either way kind of thing. Like, you still, depending on how good the other team is, they could make a bunch of threes. But here it's pretty much not really expected.
So Anderson's to the line, right? Nick Anderson, who just missed the first free throw there, we saw. I wanted to see Nick Anderson's free throw percentage before this game. I think he's like an 80% shooter.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely isn't bad enough to miss 4 straight free throws. He definitely just choked.
But I want to see if just want to know though, because I've never actually like deep dove into Nick Anderson's stats. Nick Anderson was the first ever draft pick by the Orlando Magic. Also, like, he has deep seeds in Orlando.
67. I mean, it's
so he's a career up to that point 70% free throw shooter. So he's not the best free throw shooter in the world, but I mean, you can expect him to get 1 a game, or like make one.
You'd expect him to make 1 out of 4. That's all he needed.
Yeah, but I think I would have been nervous as a fan. Like, having him on the line, I think I would have been nervous. I mean, I'd rather have him than Shaq, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, depending on, like, there's fans that watch. I mean, if you watch every single game of the Magic and you know that he's like not clutch, it's like the Pau Gasol thing. Remember, like seeing, I was like, Pau Gasol's gonna split these because I just know he would. Like, I'm sure like fans probably thought of him like that too, or whatever. But like it's one thing to miss both free throws, sure, but then to get the rebound and miss another two is
so
like,
this is so he managed
would've made
to get
one.
his own rebound off the
100%.
miss, and now Shaq and everybody's picking him up like dude, you got this. I can't believe you missed those, but it's okay. You're not missing two more. Like, you got this. Mind you, they're up 3. He's just got to make that one shot.
Yeah.
Like,
it's funny though, like how, like in that documentary, like they were talking about he's not a player to miss free throws and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, like this is how you know that we're not looking at stats or anything at this point. Because like on the screen, it was showing he's a 67% free throw shooter. It's not like he was the greatest.
Let's go back to that.
It was not like he was the greatest thing in the world. Like that's why it's just weird that like his teammates would say that. Like I really feel like they were trying, especially Penny. I feel like Penny was trying to like shift all the blame to just that one moment, as if that was the reason they lost the entire finals. And I'm like, bro, you literally, this is game 1, and you literally have a whole 6 games more if you wanted to, like to play. Like,
so I think what Penny's trying to say, and we're talking about this Magic moment. It's a documentary about the Orlando Magic. It's not the Bible of what happened during this time, but all the guys from this team get to say their piece on what happened to the team.
Yep.
And this is a major moment in the documentary and it's a major moment in the history of this particular group of individuals.
Yeah.
It shows a lack. Well, number one, it's a lack of just general experience. Like this whole game is a microcosm of one team with no experience and one team with a ton of experience.
Yeah.
The Rockets, the Rockets went into the locker room at halftime going, "We just got to make a couple shots going, and they'll fold." Like this is something that Kenny Smith has talked about on. He was talking to Shaq on an open court, to Shaq and Dennis Scott about this game, and how one locker room was like, "Yeah, we're feeling good," as in the Magic. They were feeling good in the locker room. They were doing really well. And the Rockets, they didn't come out nervous. They were just like, it's okay. We just got to make 1 or 2 baskets. And there's no way they can hold this together forever because they just don't have the experience. That was the mindset between the two teams.
It goes back to we're up by 22 at half in game 1. So we walk in the locker room like, yeah, Shaq, you busting his butt. I got 5 threes. Penny's killing everybody in the post. And you know, it went from 22 to 14 to 10 to 8 to 6 to 4. We go, uh-oh.
Now let's go to this locker room.
Right, exactly. Right.
Listen, you know that they're not going to stay focused. So just if you get it to 12, then the whole game changes. Yeah. But all you have to do is get it to 12. We ain't talking about get it to 5. Get it to 12. It's because there's an immaturity that was just not, and it's not immaturity. It's like
experience.
That's my point. It's inexperience.
The moment,
they're enjoying their moment, and you're like, we
the one thing you're talking about right now is they were capable of beating themselves. Like the Jazz were not going to beat them.
No, they were.
Those teams, they're not going to beat themselves, and you guys were capable of beating yourselves by.
And this face right here, and this Nick Anderson, like, it's just they
that's on the coach too. Like,
there's
to
just
be honest,
so much. You go on.
No, I was gonna say, to be honest, after he missed his 3rd, I would have called the timeout as the coach, and I would have just talked to him, be like, look, like, try to get him out of that mindset, because clearly you can see him as he's shooting these shots, he's laughing, he's like just can't believe what's happening, and like his teammates are just like turned around, like doesn't even want to see it going. I'm like, as the coach, you should look at that situation and be like, this is not good for what we need right now. Timeout. Let's figure this out. Maybe they didn't have timeouts at the time. Like maybe they didn't have any more timeouts. But there's no way in hell that me as a coach, and this is not like hindsight, this is just me like actually watching what was happening. Like I would have definitely been like, no, we can't let this dude shoot another free throw like the way he's shooting right now. Like we have to at least talk to him or something.
To your point, Penny Hardaway cannot watch Nick Anderson shoot this last free throw.
Yeah,
crazy.
It was like he knew he was going to lose.
That's the other thing. But this goes to what you were talking about, is why they had 6 other games, whatever. This moment took the air out of the sails of the entire team in a way that I kind of don't understand. Like it's really like astounding.
The only comparison that I can think of is the 2018 playoffs, the finals. LeBron James, with J.R. Smith, that moment.
Yeah.
Very similar, where it's just like, because like they go into overtime and they pretty much just, they lose in overtime. The volume's on. They go into overtime, lose, and pretty much like that screwed everything up. And clearly, like Penny's one of the leaders, and he's doing pretty much the same thing LeBron did to JR. I mean,
but he's a 23-year-old leader. Like these guys are all so young.
No, yeah, I know, but I'm saying that's
Kenny
like
Smith
that's
bangs
the
home a
comparison.
3.
Yeah,
and
it was off of apparently a Nick Anderson mess up again, because supposedly Nick at the time the refs allowed them to call a delay of game.
Yeah,
when they don't have the ball, I don't understand how that works. I don't know how. I'm sure there's probably a rule, but apparently they allowed for a delay of game so then you can see what the team is about to run.
Yeah,
and Nick Anderson was supposed to tell the ref they're going to take a delay of game.
Yeah,
and he was so stressed out about missing the free throws that
he didn't do it.
He didn't call.
And he was out of place.
Which is another like lack of experience kind of thing. Like if you're a more experienced player at that point, you're gonna kind of move on to the next play. You know that's it. Like this is done. Like we got to go on to the next play. We still can win this game. And it's not like bro, you missed 4 free throws, sure, but you're still up by 3.
But this is more to your point. So now we're in overtime, tie game at 118.
Yeah,
and Dennis Scott hits a big shot, and now they're tied at 118. And I never watched this from start to finish, so I want to see. And they just let Akeem off on the glass there for the putback to finish it. This is demoralizing to watch. Like just like watching it in step by step. Like as like if you're a Magic fan, you're like, I could understand how you go into the locker room and you're like, fuck, maybe we're just trash. Maybe we're not ready for this at all.
I don't know. To me, I would look at it as they just stole a game. Like, that's pretty much what happened, in my opinion. Like, they really stole that game.
Yeah.
So it's like even Hakeem said, like, oh snap, like we really just won that, because he felt like he just stole it too. So it's like, it's not like, to me, it's something that you could have bounced. Like I could understand why the LeBron JR thing, how you can't bounce back from that, because like that the way they handled it was a little hard. Like this is more so something you could bounce. All you did was miss some free throws. Like you clearly beat yourself. Like you had the team beaten, or at least like you were up most of the game. You were controlling everything, and you just you guys beat yourself. You could come back and win that.
But
I don't feel like it's worth. I don't feel like you can blame just that one loss and say that's the reason you lost the entire series. Sure, maybe like mentally you got messed up, but that's on you guys at that point. To me, that's where I'm judging y'all as players. Like y'all bitches.
That's the inexperience. That's where the inexperience shows its ugly head.
Yeah.
You'll hear Shaq in this Magic moment talk about how after that game they were like, "Oh, are we really any good?"
Yeah.
And literally, they were close in Game 3, but other than that, it's just them getting waxed. And
Like
Akeem Olajuwon, Shaq says Akeem Olajuwon punked the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Like, even though Shaq had 28, 12, and 6 with 2.5 blocks, shooting 60%.
Yeah.
Akeem punked him.
Yeah.
What did Akeem have? Akeem had 30, 33, 11.5, 5.5, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Just a battle of the big men. Fucking crazy. Robert Horry had 17 and 10 for the series.
Yeah. Like, and I think this is like, can you say Shaq doesn't have a killer mentality? Like, I know that sounds crazy, but like, I feel like if you look at a lot of his career, like he has moments like this.
Elaborate.
Like we could talk about this more during
when it happens. Yeah.
When it happens, sure. But like even in that 2000 finals, like the fallout, like he could have like pretty much ruined that series. If like him falling out and let's say Kobe doesn't do what he does, like that series goes a different way, possibly.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Because that was game 5, right?
Yeah.
So like now you got Pacers up 3-2. Like what happens? Like all they got to do is win one more game. Pacers could have got hot. Something could have happened, and if like Kobe bailed them out there. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, yeah, Penny Hardaway in these 4 games, 50, 40, 90, 25, 5, and 8. Like,
yeah.
And this team got swept.
Yeah.
This team got swept.
Like your 2 superstars did really well.
And your third guy, 13 and 12, 53%. Like,
did they lose in close games each time? I know the last one was a blowout. And I think
it's a blowout by 90 standards. It's only a 12-pointer.
No, but
same thing. 11
I think they were up by like 20 at some point in that game. I'm pretty sure because I remember. So during that game, the main thought in their mind was we're not going to get swept.
Yeah,
everybody had brooms out in that Houston, in that Houston arena because at the time they're in Houston.
But they got beat up in the second half bad.
Yeah,
that's what the box score indicates.
And this is what I've noticed about every team that ends up losing, or just in general. Like I know we always talk about team ball, but like I feel like every loser ends up doing this at some point. They started playing 1v1. It was just like taking it on their own.
Yeah.
And like in this specific
hero
game,
ball.
Yeah, they started doing hero ball, and that's what made them pretty much get swept. And I think that's always like, to me, once you do the hero ball stuff, it's pretty much saying you officially have given up on your team. You know what I mean? And you feel like you have to help. And I feel like that always like is the like if you look at any team that loses in a series, especially in a sweep like this, that happens. Hero ball.
Wonder what the odds were for a Houston Rockets sweep. Probably plus 10,000.
Oh my god! Yeah, for sure.
Imagine that.
You pay $10, you get it 1,000.
Even after game 1, like in today's world where sports gambling is super easy. After game 1, you could have still probably gotten like plus 10,000 odds on a sweep.
Yeah, 100%.
Ridiculous.
Even after game 2, I'd say.
And
you probably would have got it at like plus 450 after game 3.
Maybe.
It
was super unlikely though. It was super unlikely. One of the most unlikely outcomes of a final series in history, honestly.
Do you think this is Shaq's biggest blemish?
Yeah.
You'd say?
Yeah. I do. Either this or the Pistons in 2004, which we're going to get to.
Yeah.
But I would say this is worse only because I feel that I love Akeem Olajuwon and I love this Houston Rockets team, and I think this team isn't terrible, but the Magic were better.
Yeah, and every like all around, like
they had a way more talented team.
Even if you say Hakeem over Shaq, which is very likely. Yeah, like you could argue it, but I would say Hakeem over Shaq at this point, and Shaq says it too.
Yeah.
Penny, the second guy compared to Penny is not even close.
Yeah.
And then all the others, like you got, it's not even close. Like it shouldn't have been what it is.
Clyde showed up.
Clyde
showed up this finals. So. Like he played, but he's still like roughly Penny level.
Hey, look at that, Robert Horry over there. Like
17 and 10, right?
Yeah, he actually contributed in this one.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Besides one incredibly large shot.
Yeah.
But Kenny, 8 threes made in the series, 7 of them in game 1.
He probably talks so much smack to Shaq.
So much shit. No wonder why Shaq's mad about it. But this Magic team is really never going to get back to this point. Do you think the Magic?
Well, how do we know that, man? Come on, we're only in his 4th season. We don't know this.
But I'm doing a little bit of foreshadowing here. But this is their apex as a team, as a collective unit. This is their apex. All in all, where does this team sit for you in terms of like best teams to never win the championship or best teams to not win?
To not win?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of those.
I mean, there's definitely more of those than winners, but
no, I mean,
in our period of time here doing legacy breakdowns and looking at all these teams throughout history,
I wouldn't even have this one as like a top 10 in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, there's so many teams that I feel like
I would put this team. I think this team is one of the 10 best teams to not win the championship for its for 1 year. I would definitely put them in there. This team was sick. This is a really good team.
To me, like the Rockets in 2018, I think it was. I think that was one of the best teams.
I would take this team over that team for sure.
Not.
For sure. Fuck Chris Paul and James Harden's bitch ass.
That Rockets team would literally blow this. They would do the same thing. They would 4-0 them.
Who's guarding Shaq? PJ Tucker?
Who cares? Who's gonna stop the 3-point bump? Like it's not even close.
Yeah, especially when they go 0 for whatever in Game 7, like they did in 2018.
They won't. The whole thing.
Oh, they won't. They won't.
They won't.
It always happen. You know what won't happen? Shaq missing 20 dunks. That will not happen. Shaq's getting 40 and 20 on that team. 100%.
That's cute, but you're gonna have James Harden doing the same shit on the other side. Just in a cuter way. And
no, you're not. You have guys that can guard James Harden for sure. That's such a weird team to pick. Why the 2018 Rockets? So
2018
weird.
Rockets. First off, they won 67 games.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't consider them. They
won 7 games with arguably the greatest team of all time.
Yeah, that's all that matters to you. It's just about the Warriors. Fucking
not. They won like 10 more games than this team.
When you're playing Shaq, you have to have a guy that's 7 foot tall on the floor.
Well,
you can't have PJ Tucker be your center against Shaq. That's
you act like Grant. I said, hey, let's put these two together. You said greatest teams of all time, and then I said that team to me is the great, and I'm giving you reasons. I
don't agree with those reasons.
They won 10 more games than this team. They went 7 games. They went to 7 games with arguably the greatest team of all time.
Yeah, I don't understand. I definitely
like this team just lost to a freaking 6 seed. Like, isn't that this is like team.
That's why I think it's Shaq's biggest blemish, because I think this team was great enough to win. I think it changes the course of Shaq's legacy if they do win here. Like, do you think? I definitely think Shaq stays in Orlando if they win this championship. What do you think?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like he was always wanted to go to LA.
He definitely did, but he would have had no ammunition to do so if they get the championship. I think
it was the end of his contract when he left.
No, I know. What I'm saying is,
and money. He was moving based off money anyways.
No, but there's also
they would have paid him.
There's also the added motivation of the championship and the of gaining that first title, and not feeling like a small market could get it done. Like that's an aspect.
But I don't think Shaq was motivated more on championships than money. He proved that like multiple times. He said it, like he literally went to the Lakers, who were a rebuilding team, for $120 million. That was his reason for going. He was like, he put the 6 figures and I signed. Like he was like, he was talking about this Kobe kid, and I was barely listening to him because he didn't care. Like he ended up winning because of what happened, but I don't think he was doing it because of that. He was doing it mainly because of the money, and the Magic didn't want it, wasn't going to match it. He said that multiple times.
I know, but I wonder if winning the championship changes that. Like I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I like everything in his career showed that he cared more about money than winning. From the very beginning. Like, from the very beginning, his first thing that he thought of was, I'm going to make a ton of money through commercials, all this other stuff, movies, all this other stuff. Like, he wanted to have a balance of making this money off the court and being a good basketball player. But I don't think, I think when you really look at it, especially when you compare him to every other great, he looks like he cared more about the money than the winning championships. I feel like it was until that year, like it took him 10 years, and I feel like because like he couldn't get that like stigma off of him, that's what like drove him in that 2000 season. That like look at it, like he had lack of motivation a lot of his career. Like you see that from the early stage too, until someone talks smack to him or someone talks bad about him. That like he gets external motivation more than internal.
That's fair.
So, like, the 2000 season, he went in shape, wanted to, like, he went with the best. He played that whole season in the best shape of his career. And then he won a championship, and guess what? The very next year, came in out of shape because he did what he had to do at that point. And he said it. I knew that I had Kobe Bryant to help me, like, to make that easier on me. So he cared about money. And when he got to chip time, that's when he starts getting competitive. But it's not like I didn't think it was his main priority.
I think it was
my opinion on Shaq.
I was going to say, I think it's more of a priority than you're saying. But I definitely think money is obviously, like the John Koncak story is pretty famous. Like he looked as a kid looking at John Koncak, fucking tall white guy who walks and chews bubblegum at the same time. And like, if he was like, if they could make that money,
stuff that he has, exactly. Like he clearly.
But I wonder what winning this championship would have like. I think he probably stays in Orlando because if he wins the championship, right, the next year he becomes the free agent. Unless this next year goes horrible for him, right? After winning, I would just find it like if they could, because before the Lakers came with that deal, the Magic were gonna retain him. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about, but we have one more year with Orlando to cover before Shaq changes addresses. Addresses.
Just say addresses. Fucking Jesus.
Just don't sound like a moron. Hey guys, if you like what you heard, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Just type in Apex Greatness on YouTube to see everything we put out this year. From legacy breakdowns to current NBA and NFL content. We have over 150 videos to binge if you're that type of person, or just to listen to in your spare time. We have about 2 to 5 hours of new content every week. Check us out. Later.